It started as a normal night out, a chance to forget about work and life's hassles. My friends and I had been planning this trip for weeks, talking about escaping to our favorite lookout on top of the hill. We looked forward to a night under the stars, with cold drinks in hand and our cares left far behind. I'm writing this down because even now, years later, I still get chills thinking about that night. That night, there were 4 of us: me, Jake, Emily, and Mike. Mike was always the one who stayed sober because he was our designated driver. He never missed a chance to get us home safely, no matter how many rounds we had. Jake and Emily usually kept the party going, and I was the quiet one, observing everything and later wondering what it all meant. We met around 8 p.m. and loaded up our old car with a cooler, a few fold-out chairs, and some blankets. The drive started off smooth. We laughed and sang along to old songs as we cruised down the highway, with the city lights fading behind us. After about 45 minutes, Mike turned off the highway onto a quieter road bordered by tall trees that framed the night sky. Soon enough, the road split. One way was the main road with cars and streetlights. The other was a clear, wide dirt trail leading into a small forest, a shortcut we had taken many times before. Even though we were a bit buzzed, the trail looked safe. The open lane among the trees, with branches forming a natural canopy, seemed almost magical under the starry sky. We took that trail without a second thought. The walk through the forest lasted only about 10 minutes. The ground was soft with fallen leaves, and the air smelled of damp wood and fresh earth. Our voices bounced off the trunks, and somewhere in the distance, I heard the gentle murmur of a creek. The night felt calm and peaceful as we talked and joked along the trail. When we finally emerged from the trees, we reached the Hilltop Lookout. The sight stole our breath away. In the valley below, the town's lights sparkled like a field of scattered stars. Above, the deep sky made everything seem more alive. For about 3 hours, we talked, laughed, and admired the view, so caught up in the magic of that moment that even Jake began a silly tribute to the night with off-key singing. Then, just as we were preparing to pack up and head back, everything changed. Out of nowhere, a loud scream tore through the night. A cry filled with fear and pain that made our blood run cold. It was raw and desperate, echoing off the trees. We all froze, realizing instantly that something was horribly wrong. "Did you guys hear that?" Emily whispered. We looked at each other with shock and fear. For a long, silent moment, we weren't sure if it was a trick of the wind. But then the scream came again. A second cry from the thicker part of the forest where the light barely reached. Mike, who always stayed calm, said, "We need to go now." One by one, we gathered our things and hurriedly started down the hill. The once friendly path now felt menacing, as if the trees were closing in on us. We moved as fast as we could, our hearts pounding like wild drums. Every step was filled with the terror of what might be lurking in the dark. In our panic, I caught a glimpse of something I can't shake. A dark, shifting shape at the edge of the trees. I stopped for a split second to look, and then hurried on. "Did you see that?" I asked in a trembling voice. Mike glanced behind him, his face grim, and said, "Yeah, I saw something. Stay close." Emily, usually brave, grew quiet. Her eyes darted between the path ahead and the looming darkness, and I saw her flinch more than once. As we made our way back to the parking area, a twig snapped loudly behind us, as if someone had stepped right there. We all stopped, holding our breaths in the silence that followed. Time seemed to freeze. When I looked back, there was nothing but the deep, impenetrable black of the forest. That single sound sent a shiver down my spine. Then we began to hear more. A muffled, steady set of footsteps moving alongside us, matching our pace exactly. I couldn't tell if the sound was coming from our left or right, but it was constant. Fear took complete hold of us. My pulse pounded, and all I could think of was reaching the car and escaping that nightmare. We broke into a run, our legs pumping as we dashed along the trail. Our frantic footsteps blended with the sound of what felt like someone else's steps tracking us. I kept glancing over my shoulder, each look filled with terror. At one point, I even caught a flash of red on some leaves, a quick, bright glimpse that might have been blood. I didn't dare stop to check, but the sight burned into my memory. As we neared the edge of the forest, Mike suddenly slowed and stopped, scanning the area. In a low, urgent tone, he said, "I think I saw someone moving off to the side. Over there." We all turned our eyes toward the faint light and did see a shape, a figure standing still among the trees at the forest's edge. It vanished almost as quickly as it had appeared, but it felt all too real. Emily let out a small, shaky cry, and we instinctively looked back, hoping for another glimpse that would explain the terror we felt. The feeling of being watched grew overwhelming, a heavy pressure at our backs that pushed us to run even faster. My heart almost burst out of my chest as I sprinted alongside my friends, desperate to get to safety. Every step felt like a lifetime until finally, the taillights of our car appeared through the trees. A surge of relief washed over us as we fumbled with our keys, slamming the car doors shut in a frenzy. Mike quickly locked the doors, jumped into the driver's seat, and started the engine. Without a word, he slammed the gas pedal down, and we sped away from that hill and the horror of that night. The ride back to town was almost silent. None of us spoke. The memory of that scream, the footsteps, the flash of red, and the dark figure haunted us. By the time we reached a well-lit main road, I managed to force myself to call the police. My hands shook so much that I could barely hold my phone as I explained everything. The hilltop, our fun moments, the sudden terrible scream, the running footsteps, and that chilling glimpse in the dark. The police took our call seriously and sent officers to the scene the next morning. They combed through the forest along the path where we had run. Not far from where our voices had filled the night, they found a smear of blood on the ground, a red stain that led in a messy trail deeper into the woods, mixed with scattered footprints of different sizes. It looked like something had been dragged along, with broken twigs and bent branches marking its path. Despite their best efforts, the police couldn't say for sure what happened that night. No one came forward with more details about the scream or the strange figure, and the mystery was never solved. They thought it might have been an accident or even an act of violence, but nothing was ever proven. In the weeks that followed, our group barely spoke of that night. The hilltop, once a place of laughter and friendship, became a shadow of terror in our memories. We all agreed never to take the forest path again after dark. It has been 2 years since that night. I have moved far away from that town and its dark woods, and my friends have gone their separate ways, each of us trying to forget and move on. Yet sometimes, when I drive by a wooded road or walk in a quiet park, I still remember that desperate scream, the crunch of our rushed footsteps, and that terrifying flash of red in the darkness. That night changed me. I have grown older, a bit more cautious, and I now respect the unknown a lot more. Even though nothing like that has happened again in these 2 years, I know that night is part of who I am now. Every time I see a dark, quiet path, I remember the fear, the strange shapes in the trees, and how quickly a fun night can turn into a nightmare.